Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and from the thumbnail you might have surmised that this is going to be a little different than the usual Yu-Gi-Oh-ing around. The Digimon TCG just released about last month, and I was just as much a Digimon kid as I was a Yu-Gi-Oh kid, and I relished the opportunity to play a card game for Digimon that didn't suck. And thankfully, first impressions have left me nothing but excited. The game was really fun, and I even had the opportunity to play in the CoreTCG remote duel tournament a while ago, so I wanted to show off the deck that I played here. Now, I don't want to give the impression that this is an optimized build. This is essentially a sealed-only challenge because there's only a few booster boxes left to buy at the store, and we didn't really have a good way of getting a hold of singles. I'm hoping this acts as kind of a starting point for anyone who wants to get into the game. Maybe you'll get some ideas from my deck, you'll be able to improve on them, and I'll also share some things that I learned while playing in the tournament that might help you as well. So we played black because I think it was the best colors that we got out of our boxes, and let's start with our Digitama deck, and I think it's pretty standard for the set that we have so far. 4 Kapurimon and 1 Sumemon. I would have run 4 Sumemon instead and run a Diaboromon deck, but we did not pull nearly enough cards to run that kind of deck, so instead an extra 1000 DP on Reboot Digimon is still a way to help break through blockers and monsters we otherwise wouldn't be able to fight. And even if it didn't, we really didn't have much of a choice, so yeah, it's going to be those 5 moving forward until a future set gives us some better Digimon for the color. So for rookies, we were running 4 Toy Agumon. Oh boy, I love this glare. Toy Agumon is the premier rookie for black. It gives anything that it digivolves into Reboot, which allows you to unsuspend during your opponent's unsuspend phase, so all your blockers can attack without worrying about giving up the opportunity to block, which is a solid way to make sure that you can attack while being able to defend your own security. Next, we're running 4 Chumon. These are really helpful against blue and purple decks, so they don't randomly get memory to extend their turns or ruin yours whenever they play their option cards or you destroy their cards respectively. Its 1000 DP makes it very vulnerable to red and yellow removal, and it's not a very good attacker, but it is good for what it does, and if you need some memory to just move the turnover, it's just nice to have the extra ability to stop your opponent from going crazy on their turn. We're running 2 Hagurumon. 2 memory cost for a 3000 rookie is pretty reasonable. If you want to get multiple evolution lines up without having to wait for a Digitama, Hagurumon is a really cost-effective way to do that. And we wouldn't be playing black if we didn't have more blockers, so we've got 2 Gatsumon. They cost a little more than Hagurumon, but they have blocker, so it's a good way to stop gigantic security attack moves without losing too much value. Now it's time for our champions, and we're running 4 Greymon. Just a wonderful inheritable ability. Giving your Reboot Digimon jamming is a great way to attack your opponent's security safely, and also keep it on the defensive for your opponent's turn. Just a solid card to have as part of a higher level Digimon. Next we have 4 Gardramon, just a really excellent blocker. I wish it didn't cost so much for a blocker that can't attack, but 7000 is very difficult to attack into unless your Digimon has like a Mega or a lot of boosts invested into an Ultimate or a Champion. Next we have 4 Numamon. Yes, they are a pile of poo, but they are a champion with an evolution cost of 1. This can help us save on memory as we're digivolving up, and for that it's invaluable. Okay, time for our ultimates, and we are running 4 Metal Greymon. 8 play cost for an ultimate kind of bites, especially since it's only 7000 DP, but it does come with a Reboot as its own skill. You don't have to inherit it, and that's pretty cool. It's inheritable to give security attack +1 to your Reboot Digimon is also pretty insane. It gives you even more value for your blockers that don't have an attack drawback. You can attack, do security attack 2, and then it can reboot on your opponent's turn, so you still have a way to defend yours in case you're getting low on security. Next, we're running 4 Andromon. If these could be 4 more copies of Metal Greymon, I totally would, but you need to run some ultimates for your Megas, and Andromon is one of the best ones in black right now. It costs 2 more to play right out of the hand than Gardramon, but Andromon can attack and it has no drawback for it. So if you do gain that Reboot, this is just an example of one of those good Digimon that has a strong base power, and you can attack freely with it into security, and you don't have to worry about any drawbacks keeping you from losing steam. And now it's time for the Megas. We are running double Machinedramon. My pet name for this deck is Dark Master's Good Stuff, and you'll see in a bit. But Machine Dramon is one of those new Dark Masters that have really big on-play abilities. It's no Piedmon, but D-Digivolve 2 can get some blockers out of the way, so your opponent has to reinvest cards into making it. Also, I got an all-art one and I wanted to show it off. Also, being an 11,000 point blocker means that a lot of attacks end up being unfavorable for your opponent, and that's what we're all about here. Next, we're running a single War Greymon in black. I cannot believe that they printed a War Greymon in black, but it isn't Black War Greymon. I'll never get over it. Anyway, it has blocker and reboot, so even if you have to play it as 12 costs out of your hand, even if you have to end your turn on it, at least on following turns, it's just a great thing to attack with and to defend your security stack with. War Greymon also operates like Metal Greymon, insofar as the fact that it has reboot means you don't need to have Toy-Agumon as your rookie Digivolution source to benefit from all of your if this Digimon has reboot bonuses. With Kapurimon, this becomes a 12,000, which is really cool. You can get security attack +1 with Metal Greymon. 12,000 is you don't really need a lot of jamming when you have 11 or 12,000, but I guess it's just nice to have in case you do hit that security stack Omnimon. Next, we have part 2 of Dark Master's good stuff. We're running 2 Puppetmon. This worked out exactly once in the tournament. I was able to tap down my opponent's field, and they couldn't recover, so I was able to continue attacking. And even if I didn't finish the game with Puppetmon, it was still just a free memory every turn while attacking with a 10,000. It did suck that it was a turn ender for me to play it, but I imagine in slower formats, not like the ones that we have now or the ones that I'm sure we're going to have soon, teching in Puppetmon is going to be really, really cool to just swing in for the rest of your game against an opponent that has committed too much to attacking. Next, we have our options. I'm running quadruple Spiral Sword. Not a huge fan, but it's a low-cost way to give you some digital power to attack through things or make for safer attacks. And if it's hit on the security, you get to unsuspend one of your blockers, but that is pretty situational. If you haven't gotten a blocker set up on the board and you haven't already used it, then Spiral Sword is just a free security for your opponent. But I wanted to have something that I could play just to help boost, so it kind of felt like one of those lesser of two evil things. Next, we have a single copy of Spider Shooters, which is a D-Digivolve 1, and we're playing that specifically because we only pulled 3 looking back on the good times. Spider Shooter costs 1 less, so it's more cost-effective, but it only D-Digivolves 1. Looking back on the good times only costs an extra memory, it D-Digivolves 1, and then if that Digimon's play cost is 4 or less, it also gets rid of it. This is one of those breaking the color pie type scenarios. Black has a lot of D-Digivolve, but not a lot of straight-up removal. Looking back on the good times does that for you in appropriate situations. Another drawback is that Spider Shooters just activates whenever it's hit in the security, whereas looking back on the good times goes to your hand, so you always have to pay that 4 memory to play it, but I never felt bad when that happened, because it was still just removal that you could play out of your hand against certain Digimon, and even if it wasn't removal, it was just a D-Digivolve to get rid of an annoying Digimon, so hey. Next, we have 2 copies of Infinity Cannon. This was just a really cool one that I wanted to add, because it was fun. It certainly wasn't cost-effective, and it didn't really win me any games. I wouldn't play it moving forward, but D-Digivolve 4 is just so tantalizing, taking something from Mega all the way down to Rookie level. Just gets rid of a lot of an opponent's investment in a certain Digimon, and then if you have your blocker set up, then that new Digimon isn't going to be helping them very much. It's also helpful for getting around certain on-deletion effects. With Purple being strong, the ability to get rid of not only the top Digimon, which is powerful, but some Digivolution sources that would give good on-deletion effects. Cards like Infinity Cannon and other Digivolves is your way to help play around that. And lastly, for our tamers, we pulled 3 Taikamiya, so we are playing 3 Taikamiya. It's just one of those memory resetters to make sure that your opponent can't screw you on memory, and being able to boost your Black Digimon by 1,000 during your opponent's turn just makes our blockers that much more effective. Not a lot to say here either, just a really nice trainer card to have, so your opponent can't memory you out of the game. So during the tournament, we only played 4 games. We had things to do that day, and my record wasn't really impressive going up to that point either, so I wasn't feeling too bad about dropping. The games went, it was a red, a blue, a red, and a blue, all of which were Omnimon variants. I won game 1, lost game 2, won game 3, and then lost game 4. Basically, once Omnimon hit the board, it was very difficult to recover. Trying to Digivolve an Omnimon in that state would have cost a lot of memory, even if I had access to it. And blue and red decks are so cost efficient nowadays and so fast at doing stuff that Digivolve didn't end up being a very strong keyword against those decks. There was a game in against my second opponent that I felt like I could have won if I was a bit more aggressive. I had a lot of rookies out, and my opponent had 2 blockers, but I did have an Andromon that was stronger than the CoreDramons they had yet. So if I had attacked with the rookies to go for the security, baited the blockers into being suspended so that I could attack over them with Andromon to slowly chip away at that, to get to the security, I think I would have been in a better position moving forward. But I was too scared to embrace the rookie rush mentality. So if you find yourself in that scenario, don't feel bad about trading your rookies for your opponent's blockers. I'd also like to say that everyone that I battled in that tournament was very, very cool. If you're somehow watching this and you find me after our games, thank you very much for the experiences. I treasured all of them. And I look forward to playing more. I can't wait for the next part of the pre-release sets to come out, 1.5 set. I really want to play with some of the new DNA Digivolve Digimon. I can't wait for the Digimon in Set 4 that let you use your tamers as Digivolution sources for the Digimon Tamer series. I'm so bad with that series, I forget what it was called. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. And if you would like to learn more about Digimon, and you're completely lost on all of this, let me know if you want to hear more. I'm sure you can find some tutorials on YouTube right now. But if you would like a Nova-flavored tutorial, or a tutorial from the viewpoint of someone who's played Yu-Gi-Oh, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.